If Mike Brown, the new head coach of the New York Knicks, wants his first season to be a success, he's got to answer these 5 questions. Before we dive into those, make sure you're showing the guy some love. Hit that thumbs up icon. He's your new head coach, and hopefully the guy that's going to put a banner in the rafters at Madison Square Garden. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for rolling in. As after I got the news of Mike Brown being the next head coach for the New York Knicks, it immediately popped into my head, what does he need to do for year one to be a success? Because I think a lot of people right now aren't really moved by the hire, and I don't really think people understand who he is as a coach. And on today's show, I'm going to show you ways that he can really live up to the expectations, which I think a lot of people are setting is NBA Finals are bust. First step, though, for Mike Brown is to figure out what is going to be the starting 5 for this basketball team. We saw the New York Knicks throughout the regular season, round 1 and round 2, roll with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Karl-Anthony Towns. We then saw in the Eastern Conference Finals, they moved Josh Hart to the bench and put Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup. I wonder if Robinson was healthy all of last year, would Tibbs would have put Robinson in the starting lineup early on. At this point, I don't know what the starting lineup is going to be. A report came out from Ian Begley earlier this week that the New York Knicks front office, prior to hiring their head coach, viewed Gershon Yabusele, the scoring power forward that they signed to a 2-year deal, as a good backup piece to a starting lineup that featured Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. So maybe they're leaning that way. I kind of look at it like this. I think Josh Hart has to come off the bench for the Knicks. I love Josh Hart. One of my favorite players in the NBA. I named my dog after Josh Hart. I just think the experiment of him being a starter alongside Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns isn't the best case scenario. It's not going to help you reach your maximum potential as an offense. His inability to hit the outside shot, his refusal to continuously shoot the open shot just puts a ceiling on this offense because it allows other teams to guard him with their centers, and they could just collapse and clog up the paint. I think Hart is still a really good player. I think he should still play 30 minutes, just maybe not 38 or 48 minutes. Just move more to a reduced role off the bench and be that super 6-man for this squad. I understand why anyone would say Mitchell Robinson should be the starter. They would say we think Karl-Anthony Towns is a 4, and Robinson can protect the rim, and he can up the defense. He adds the offensive rebounding. There's a lot of strong redeeming qualities about Mitchell Robinson, and we saw the impact that he had in the playoffs. So I understand why anyone would want the double big lineup to start, which seems like the double big lineup is coming back. You saw the Houston Rockets show it off in the playoffs, the Oklahoma City Thunder. More and more teams are leaning into that. I think you also have to ask yourself the question, Coach Brown, should Deuce McBride start at the 2 alongside Brunson, Bridges, OG, and Karl-Anthony Towns? For McBride, I personally think it's the best avenue to travel down because unlike Josh Hart, who ups the energy and ups the little things, offensive rebounding, creating extra possessions, and Mitchell Robinson, who ups the defense but lowers the offensive upside, Deuce McBride does both, in my opinion. He raises the ceiling for the offense because you're allowed to play a 5-out set. All 5 players on the floor can shoot, and it gives you another ball handler. And on defense, it gets you a legit point of attack defender. It allows Mikal Bridges to play on the wing defensively a little bit more. It allows OG Anunoby to play a little bit more on the back line of the defense and do a little bit more rim protecting. So Deuce ups your defense and ups your offense. I would start him, and I think he could even grow more as a starter and get more open shots compared to when he's coming off the bench. I'll ask you the question. Who should be the 5th starter next to those other 4 guys? Is it Mitch? Is it Deuce? Is it Josh Hart? Just type the jersey number of the guy you're thinking down below. Another question Mike Brown has to answer is Karl-Anthony Towns a 4 or is Karl-Anthony Towns a 5? And that will kind of give you your answer of who the starting lineup should be. If you think he's a 4, you're going to start Mitch. If you think he's a 5, you're going to go Josh Hart or McBride, and I would lean McBride in that situation. So figuring out what position he is going to be a big step for him. You're also going to figure out, or need to figure out, how do you unlock Mikal Bridges on the offensive end? I think there was a lot of ups and a lot of downs throughout Bridges' first year as a Knick. A lot of awesome moments. Like, we all remember the Christmas Day game against the San Antonio Spurs. We remember the game-winning block against the Brooklyn Nets. We remember what he did in the playoffs with 2 major defensive game-winning plays against the Boston Celtics. We remember the game winner in the regular season against the Portland Trail Blazers. But I don't think anybody would say that he exceeded expectations in his first year, averaging 17 points in the regular season, down to 15.6 points in the playoffs. The field goal percentage shrinking in the playoffs. The three-point percentage at 35% in the regular season and just 33.3% in the playoffs. The turnovers were a little bit too high. And when you just factor in the price of acquisition, like, he needs to be better for the Knicks, and they need a guy that could take the ball out of Brunson's hands and create for himself and create for others. Let Brunson play off ball a little bit more. And if Mikal Bridges is going to be the 2 guard next to Brunson, or the wing, the 3, he needs to be that guy. And Mike Brown has to find a way to maximize Mikal Bridges as an offensive player. More dribble handoffs, more him initiating the offense, more pick and rolls, not just standing in the corner and playing off of Jalen Brunson and standing in the other corner and playing off of Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, you can't just be a corner boy when you gave up the control of 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, especially when he only shot 35 and 33% from 3, albeit much better in the corners and much worse at the top of the key, but you have to find a way for him to be better than what he was. I'm not asking for 28 points a game. Can you average 20? Can you shoot above 50% from the field? And can you get close to 38% from 3 and up the assist to maybe 4 per game while lowering the turnovers? I think if you get him more involved on offense, that's going to bleed into more valuable possessions on the defensive side as well. The biggest question he has to figure out an answer to is, how do I unlock the 2-man game of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns? How do I take the offense, which was last year at one point one of the best in the NBA, tail it off towards the end of the season? How do I take that to the next level? How do I make this the best offense in the NBA? And it starts with Brunson and Cat. Look, Brunson was second-team All-NBA last year. I don't know how much better he could be, and I feel selfish even asking for more out of him. Karl-Anthony Towns, he was third-team All-NBA. One of the better seasons he's had in recent memory. He took his game to another level. Both were named All-Stars this year. They are really good players. There's no doubt about it. And I'm happy that they are New York Knicks. The thing is, the offense can be way better than it was with the Knicks last year. And Brown has to figure out a way to do that. I went and did kind of like a deep dive on some numbers on Cat and Brunson, and I was just blown away by it. Like, when you talk about what this team needs to do if they want to win a championship, they need to be the best offense in the NBA, because we know that Brunson and we know that Karl-Anthony Towns struggle on the defensive end. Like, your ceiling is only going to be so high as a defense with Brunson and Towns on the floor. So how do you combat that? You need to form an unstoppable offense, an unstoppable 2-man game. For the New York Knicks to win a championship with Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns as the top 2 dogs, you need to have a dominant offense. You need to turn your strength into something that is unstoppable. Because if your offense doesn't overshadow or outweigh the negatives you have on defense, it's just not going to work. And we saw throughout the season last year, there were times this offense was great. Like the first 33 games of the season, they had the second best offensive rating in the NBA. They scored 120.1 points per game, the second best. But in the final 49 games of the season, they were in the middle of the pack, and that can't happen. You will never win a championship with Brunson and Cat if you were in the middle of the pack when it comes to offensive rating. Your full season, it looks good, but the data tells you they weren't all that good in the second half of the year. And in the playoffs, you weren't that good on offense either. You were 7th best out of 16 teams with an offensive rating of 112.7. How do you do that? The 2-man game of Brunson and Cat needs to be better, and it needs to be used more. Think about this. Jalen Brunson passing the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns that finished in assists. It happened 96 times in the regular season. That's 1.5 assists per game. Simply just not high enough. And in the playoffs, it happened 20 times. Only 20 times in the playoffs where you went 6 games in round 1, 6 games in round 2, and 6 games in round 3, only 1.1 assists. Even worse when you talk about the pick and pop, which everyone thought was going to unlock this defense. A pick and pop, Brunson attacking, Cat popping out for the 3. There were only 25 regular season assists that ended in a Karl-Anthony Towns off the hands of Jalen Brunson in the regular season. And it only happened 5 times in the playoffs. You're telling me there were, what did Brunson play, 65 games this year, 16 playoff games, 65 plus 16, what's that, 81? 81 games. There was only 30 three-pointers made off of the hands from Brunson to Cat. It just simply can't happen. If the Knicks want to do the things we're hoping they can do, Brunson and Cat need to take that two-man game to the next level, and that falls on the shoulders of Mike Brown, and he has to figure out how that's going to happen. And then you got to factor in, how does the offense look outside of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns? I want more pick and rolls between those two guys. I want those two guys working together. I want when teams see Brunson and Cat going to a pick and pop, it's like, oh shit, we just got to hope they miss. Like, we don't have an answer for it. They need to be that dominant. The offense is going to look different. No doubt about it. With the Knicks under Tom Thibodeau, we know how they operated. Slow, in the half court, not a lot of passes, not a lot of player movement, and really Jalen Brunson getting busy in the mid-range. I thought these stats I looked up yesterday were jarring. The Knicks were 18th in passes per game last year under Tom Thibodeau. So a little bit worse than in the middle of the pack. The Kings under Mike Brown, his first year when they had the best offense in the NBA, they were 4th in total passes. And the year following, they were 2nd in total passes. So the ball is going to be moving around more. They're going to be swinging it side to side. And yes, the Sacramento Kings like to play fast, and we'll just transition to pace, possessions per game. You see that the pace for the Kings is higher than the pace for the Knicks in the Mike Brown era compared to the last 3 years for Tom Thibodeau. But I want to see more pace in the half court as well. More passes going side to side, getting the defense in rotation, having them having to be more in sync, more player movement, more ball movement, more cutting. It needs to be better. The Kings in the first year with Mike Brown were, once again, they were the best offense in the NBA. They had the fastest pace, meaning possessions per game. They were number 1. Then they were 14th. And then in the 31 games that he coached this year, they were 17th. The Knicks this year, 26th. The year before that, 30th. So they're going to be playing a faster brand of basketball with a lot more passes as well, and they're going to get up a lot more threes when you factor that in. In the first year with Brown and the Kings, they shot 37.3 threes per night. That was 6th in the NBA. The following year, 39.3 threes per game. That was 3rd in the NBA. The Knicks shot the 27th most threes per game this year, and they had Karl-Anthony Towns, the best big man three-point shooter of all time, and they were 27th. Somehow, some way, you shot less threes this year than you did 2 years ago when Mitchell Robinson was your starting center. Make it make sense. That's what I really like about Mike Brown. He is going to let his players and his tools in the tool shed dictate how he coaches, whereas Tom Thibodeau coaches my way or the highway. I don't know if Mike Brown's better than Tibbs, but I think he's better for this team because he's going to lean into what this team plays well. If you have Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5 and you shoot the 27th most threes in the NBA, that's a major effing problem. Another thing I'm looking for is, can he develop the kids? Can the players the New York Knicks selected in last year's draft and Mohamed Diawara this year, can 2 of those 5 players, can 2 of the 5 become rotational pieces for the Knicks? Not saying next year. Maybe I'm not even saying the year after that. But in 5 years from now, can we have a Tyler Kolek or Pacome Dadier or Kevin McCullough Jr. or an Ariel Huckporty be a bona fide piece of this rotation? Be contributors to winning. Like we talked about, what do the Knicks want in the new head coach? They want collaboration with the front office. They want a deeper rotation. They want a guy that listens to his coaching staff. But most importantly, they want player development. It's not something that Tibbs ultimately excelled in with rookies. He did excel in other spots of player development, like Brunson having career years here, Randall having career years here, Isaiah Hartenstein, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and that list goes on and on. but we need some of these draft picks to pop, whether it's Diawara or Dadier or Puck Porty or McCullough or any of those guys. Kolek, you need 2 of these 5 guys to be long-term productive pieces. So you need to develop the kids and figure out which one of those 5 guys can be impact players. And on top of that, being the coach of the New York Knicks is a little bit different, especially when the hopes and expectations are getting to the NBA Finals or bust. Like, it's different. You're under a microscope. Tom Thibodeau just led this team to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, and he got fired. That doesn't happen at a lot of other different spots. Another thing, like, he is very animated on the sideline. Tom Thibodeau has never been ejected from an NBA game. Mike Brown will get ejected this year. There's a clip on my Twitter. You can go watch it out. He'll run into the face of a ref. He's pushed a couple of refs. He'll MF a ref until he can't MF him anymore. Like, maybe he needs to tone that down a little bit as a New York Knick. Also for the Knicks, like Leon Rose, he's allergic to the media. He doesn't speak into microphones. Not only are you the coach of the Knicks, Mike Brown, you're also the face and you're the PR staff. You got to answer all the questions. You got to speak for the team. Oh, and you need to take this team to the NBA Finals or everyone's going to be pissed off at you. Like, this is a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure, and a lot on the shoulders of Mike Brown. But I believe he is built for it. His experiences in the past, who he's coached under, who he has coached, the stages he has been on, the 90 games of playoff experience. I believe he is ready for this job, and I'm hoping he does what we want, which is win the best city and the best team a championship for the best fans. Grade the hire of Mike Brown for me in the comments section. We've all had 24 hours to sleep on it, think about it, and process it. Grade the hire, A, B, C, D, or F. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_.